What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about Ben 10, real shocker, I know. However, this is going to be a different type of video. I love watching YouTube videos about the shows or movies that I love, and I like how they talk about the pre-production side and how that may differ from the final version. After all, I did love the videos I found about Batman Beyond and Batman the Animated Series in this style. So when I went to look to see if there's anything for Ben 10, I only found one or two videos, and they more so focused on the designs or the pre-production art. And I kind of wanted to do an overview as to how the show started in pre-production versus how it got to where it is as we know it. So we're going to head back all the way to 2004. One thing I didn't know is that the show originally didn't have aliens at all. What you're looking at now is a poster of some of the pre-production art by Stephen E. Gordon. The concept is basically identical, however, instead of aliens, we have humanoid heroes. This guy, who also worked on Ben 10 Alien Force, was approached for artwork of the original series. However, Cartoon Network thought that his artwork was a little too creepy for kids and ended up rejecting his art. Dave Johnson then became the art director for the first two seasons of the original series. There's actually two things here that I didn't know. One being that Diamond Head was supposed to be the first alien transformation in the pilot. The second being that as far as design goes, Forums was the first alien to be greenlit. One storyline that the writers knew about way in advance, I believe it was even in pre-production, was that they wanted an alien, which ended up being Ghost Freak, to escape the Watch. Also, Cannonbolt was in the original 10 Aliens, which I think is really interesting. So you can't really talk about Ben 10 pre-production without looking at the art. This is again by Stephen E. Gordon. So this is the design for Ben. I think it's a huge contrast. If you look, he has different color hair. He looks to be a little taller. His shirt's different. The pants actually look kind of the same. But the Omnitrix looks like an orb on his wrist with like little wires keeping it on there. I think it's an interesting concept art. The Omnitrix was actually pretty close to what we know as like a regular watch. On the top and the bottom you see those two yellow buttons. I believe they had the same function in raising the dial. I also couldn't find anything to confirm this, but it looks like the orange circles correspond to the 10 aliens. Only reason I say this is because on a watch obviously there's going to be 12 slots for the time, but this one only has 10. And then probably my favorite part would be looking at the alien concept arts. Most of the alien concept arts you're about to see are either just slightly changed as far as design or they're pushed off and revealed later in the series. First up we have Digger. This one was actually just scrapped altogether because his abilities weren't really that useful. Obviously, he was meant to dig. He ended up being replaced by Wildmutt in the original series. Next up, we have Dragonfly. Obviously, this is going to end up being Stinkfly. I think it's kind of funny because at first glance, the Dragonfly character here looks like Stinkfly in the Ben 10 reboot to me. This is my personal favorite because I think it's just so weird and different from the final product. This is Ghost Freak's concept art. Apparently that's not his actual face, but a mask rather. I think he just looks so funky and weird, and I don't think there's TV shows that have characters that even remotely look like this. Next up we have Gray Matter. He just looks like a stereotypical ET alien. I notice on his wrist he has the little Omnitrix style that looks like it would correspond with the watch. However, I don't see that on a lot of the other aliens, and I'm not sure why. Next up we have Inferno. Obviously, this is going to be Heat Blast. Upon doing research, it seems besides the design, Inferno is identical to Heat Blast as far as function. Next up, we have Plant Guy, probably the most creative name so far. He ended up being replaced by Wildvine. He has two eyes as opposed to one, but other than that, he seems to be pretty similar as far as function. Instead of Rip Jaws, we have Razor Jaws. Actually, I lied. I said Plant Guy had the worst name. I'm gonna change that and give it to Strong Guy. Strong Guy ended up being four arms, obviously. You can kind of tell just by looking at him. This one's pretty similar to the others in that it's pretty much the same thing besides the design as far as function, and you can see the Omnitrix symbol right there on his chest. I think this one is the biggest deviation from the final product. This is going to be Upgrade. He has a lot of body armor. He has some bolts on his fingers, abdomen pads. Again, I think this is the biggest deviation we have from the final product. Accelerate is basically the same as well. I would argue that this one probably looks the most human of all of them. And he also has the same color scheme as the final product. I'm also going to throw up some concept art. These are going to be a lot closer to the final versions. Next in the development process, Chris Zimmerman, who's also done works with shows like the regular show on Cartoon Network, was put in charge of casting and was the voice director. After doing some auditions, they found Tara Strong to be the best voice for Ben Tennyson. She also does a bunch of other characters in the show. Megan Smith ended up voicing Gwen Tennyson, and Paul Eating voicing Grandpa Max. So at this point, the show's been worked on for almost 3 to